Hello, and good morning if it's the morning, good night if you're watching this at night. I'm glad that you are watching, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm really excited to kind of deep dive into all of this. Before we get started, 3 things real quick. If you want to grab your scriptures, if you want to grab a journal, if you want to grab some water, go ahead and do that. Just thought I'd throw that reminder out there for you. And we're just gonna dive right in. So I'm gonna let you bring your hands to heart center, and we're just gonna come to our breath for a little bit. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. A couple more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Hopefully your breath is starting to slow down a little bit, and your mind and your thoughts are starting to kind of slow down a little bit. So we're just going to reach our arms up and over the head. Bring all the way up here. And just stretch for a minute. And bring it back down. Bring your hands to heart center. When I say that, this is what that looks like. Our thumbs traditionally are going to touch our chest, and it gives us an ability to feel the chest rise and fall with each breath. A lot of yoga, pretty much all of yoga, is coming to that breath and feeling that breath and letting that breath control the body. Everything we do, our body controls our breath. This time in yoga, we get to reverse that, and our breath gets to control the body. Okay, let's dive right in. So we're gonna start in Nephi 1:1, the most read book and verse of the whole Book of Mormon, right? How many times have you started the Book of Mormon and haven't finished, so you start back over and reread the beginning? Yeah, me, a million times. So, okay, so first Nephi 1:1. Let's see, let's bring our arms up and over the head. Our right fingers are gonna grab the left wrist and just stretch that side body for a little bit. Stay here. First Nephi, Nephi, that's how it starts out. So he's introducing himself, and I love his intro. So it says, a little bit down a ways, having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. I just love how much he puts God into his name. From the get-go, from the very beginning, he's like, hey, I know the mysteries of God. I love God. Come up to center, inhale here. I love God, I know him, and he's in every aspect of my life, which is so cool, because as we dive into this chapter, come to the left side, left fingers grab the right wrist and stretch. If you can, gaze up and reach up at the ceiling and just open that whole side body. But as we dive into this chapter, you'll see that the whole thing basically is like noticing God in your life. So it's really cool that he just puts that out there from square one. So come back up to center, inhale. Now bring your right arm down, palm is on the ground, left arm reaches up, deeper side body stretch here. Okay, so verse 5, it says, came to pass that my father Lehi. So we know from the get-go that this chapter is talking both about Nephi, his son, and Lehi, the dad. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter, I'm going to let you guys do that, but it goes into how Lehi's faith is very strong. Come up to center. And he sees a vision. So they live in Jerusalem. He's seeing this vision of Jerusalem being destroyed if they don't get their act together, basically. If they don't become obedient, and certain things have to happen for Jerusalem to not be destroyed. And we'll get into that this whole week of what has to happen. And this vision doesn't tell him right away what all needs to happen. Come back up to center. Inhale here. Bring both palms back down to the ground and just take a side stretch. With your left arm, you're going to grab the outside of your right thigh or twist gently. Heavenly Father doesn't show him exactly what needs to happen from that very first vision, right? He just says, okay, like, you need to save your city, so here's what you need to know right now. Which I think is really cool, because in our life he does that too, right? He just gives us bits and pieces of what we need to know at that moment. Come back to center. Inhale here, exhale other side. Right palm to the outside of that left thigh. Just a gentle, gentle twist. If you're pregnant, don't push your twists, especially, even if a little bit of twist feels awkward in any way, just stay here. You can stretch your shoulder even. Okay, so he talks about his vision and how Jerusalem might be destroyed, and how his faith is strong. So, okay, let's bring our arms back behind us, interlacing your fingers. Shoulders back, shoulder blades together, shoulders down, away from the ears. We don't want to scrunch up like this. Shoulders down and back, shoulder blades together. The chest is naturally going to lift up. Gaze up and look up and just feel that body for a minute. Okay, so, but before that, I wanted to just step into Lehi's shoes for a minute. So he sees this vision, and God says, okay, now go tell Jerusalem. So he's like, okay, like, that's gotta feel awkward. And a little bit scary. I've been scared. I've been so nervous, like I said, to do these videos, and I did not see a vision. You know, I'm doing something out of my comfort zone, and so is he. But he steps out of his comfort zone, tells Jerusalem about it. Okay, bring your arms out in front of you, and shoulder blades are apart, shoulders still down. Bring them out in front of you and stretch this way. He does it. He tells Jerusalem. He gets over his fear. I mean, it doesn't say that he's fearful, but I'm sure there's feelings there, right? And the whole city mocks him for it. I had feelings with these videos. I had thoughts that were like, people will totally make fun of me for this. Now bring your neck into it and just stretch side to side, forward and back. Maybe bring some circles into your neck. Be really gentle with that neck. It's kind of fragile. Don't push yourself. Just wake the body up a little bit. Keeping that breath alive. Don't forget the breath. I totally had thoughts of like, people are going to make fun of me for this. And after that, thoughts of, I'm not doing this. There's no way I'm going to do this and put myself out there. So now bring your arms back again and forward again. And just feel that. Back again. Stretch those shoulders and kind of open them up and forward. So I'm sure he's thinking the same thing, right? And then when the city mocks him, he's like, okay. But his faith is strong. His faith keeps strong. So now we're going to go down to the very last verse, verse 20. As we do this, we're going to bring our feet out in front of us. We've stretched kind of our arms, our neck, our upper body a little bit. Bringing our legs straight out in front of us. Just welcome those ankles into your morning. Flex and point. Flex and point. Okay. Verse 20. There's so much goodness in this. A little bit down it says, behold, I, Nephi, will show you that the tender mercies of the Lord are over all those whom he hath chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty even unto the power of deliverance. So I'm going to break that down a little bit. I, Nephi, will show unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord. So let's talk about tender mercies. While we do that, we're going to bring our left leg, bending it, and our the sole of the foot, the left foot, goes to the inner thigh of the right leg. So we're like this. Arms reach up and over the head. You can forward fold here, leading at the chest. You don't want to round the spine and lead with your head. You want to lead with your chest, keeping your spine pretty straight, and just forward folding as much as you can. You can forward fold here. You can also take some side stretches here. Kind of do what your body feels is good and comfortable. So we're going to talk about tender mercies of the Lord. So I looked that up, And there's another scripture that talks about tender mercies. It's D&C 46:15. So we're going to fourfold. And in the end of that scripture it says, according as the Lord will, suiting his mercies according to the conditions of the children of men. And I just love that so much, because it reminded me of my cousin's funeral, actually. We're going to switch sides. Left leg is straight, right leg is bent. Foot on the inner thigh of that left leg. Reach up if you're going to forward fold, lead with your chest. But my cousin passed away a little bit ago, and his funeral, all of his immediate family spoke, and they kept talking about tender mercies, and that word mercy really stood out to me. So when I read this and really studied it, it really brought me back to that moment. And in the funeral, they talked about how the tender mercies, all the tender mercies that happened before his passing and during, one of the hardest times of their life. And it was just little things that they just really noticed God's hand in their life. And I really think that that's what tender mercies are. Tender mercies, it's almost like stepping out of the scene for a minute and looking at it and seeing where God's hand is in our life, in hardships, in trials, even just in everyday things, right? Those are the tender mercies of the Lord. So the tender mercies of the Lord are over all those whom he hath chosen. Everyone. He gives them to everyone. His finger and his presence is in everybody's life. And then it says, whom he hath chosen because of their faith. So at first I was like, but whom he hath chosen. Like, that's only who God hath chose, right? But then, so bring your legs out in front of you again. Kind of counteract the hips by bringing one leg out, the other leg out, and just straddle as much as you can. You don't have to go crazy, but just kind of open those hips, start to feel a little bit. And we're just going to go from one side to the other. So because of their faith, it's not saying because of God's faith, whom he hath chosen because of God's faith. No, it's because of their faith, meaning our faith. That's like when we choose God, he chooses us. When we choose to see his hand in our life, he chooses to make it known. So it's according to our faith. We can be all chosen by God. According to our faith. We just choose to see him. We choose to see God. Okay. Let's see. Getting my notes out. Okay. So I think also when hardships happen, it's really easy. So now just go forward as much as you can. Don't worry about going crazy. Just kind of feel your body and open those hips a little bit. So when hardships happen, I really think that it's easy to think that we are not chosen by God. In fact, God has ditched us because hard things don't happen to people who are really close to God, right? But no, like we all have free agency. Everyone else has free agency. So things are going to happen in our life. And when they do, when we find God and when we choose to find him in our life, especially during the hardships, that's when he shows up, and that's when he's there. So then it says, to make mighty even unto the power of deliverance. Let's talk about deliverance a little bit. I looked up the topical guide and for all the stories that God has delivered something or someone. And what I kind of came to conclusion of is that deliverance is like taking out of a situation. And this really reminded me of my births to my children, which is kind of funny, but I don't think he physically takes us out of a situation that's hard. I definitely think he can, but we go through things to mold us and to learn so many things. So I don't think he's going to, but he can mentally take us out of situations by our choosing him. And this is why it made me relate to my children's births. While I talk about this, let's bring our souls in together and touch. Inhale here and exhale. Right hand down, left hand up, side stretch. I have birthed both my kids naturally, and all 9 months while preparing for that, I do a lot of mental work. And with that, I kind of train my body to dilute the pain by focusing on other things. Come into center, other side. So I kind of train my body and my mind almost like a hypnosis, kind of. But I focus so much on other things and train my body on how to focus on something else so much that the pain dissipates. And it really, really, truly works. Come on up. So, with that, like, if we're going through something hard, bring your left knee is going to be bent. Our right foot is going to go over the left knee and on the other side of the thigh. You don't want any pressure on your knee. It's going to go right on the other side of the thigh and just gently twist. But when we're going through something hard, the light of Christ and the light of the Lord is focusing so much on the Lord and his promises and our faith and our testimonies and leaning on these words so much that the pain dissipates. He's mighty, even unto the power of taking us out of a situation, whether that's mentally or physically. Switch sides, left leg over the right thigh. Gently twist. Yeah. We choose God. We choose him in our life. And he's there. You just focus on him. You focus on him. Come back up. Now we're going to come on tabletop position. So all fours, hands in front of knees, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Just into tabletop here. Inhale, reach up, look up, curl your back. This is cow pose, and exhale, curl your back. Upward, chin to chest, cat pose. Inhale up. Exhale down with every breath, and just keep the flow going. So, in summary, 1, how many times have you put yourself out there to be vulnerable because you felt like you should, or you felt like it'll do something good, but it's a little bit scary? And how many times have you, or how many things in your life right now are you not doing just because of fear? Let's learn from Lehi today, just for a day, and take all the things that just scare you, and take Lehi's courage, like he told Jerusalem about his vision, and do something, take one little step towards something that just scares you a little bit, but you know you should be doing it, or you know it will be good. Inhale up. Come back in a seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. How much are you choosing God? And how much are you focusing on him and really seeing him in your life? Inhale. exhale. In these next chapters this week, we get to go into some really fun stories. Last time, bring our arms up and over the head. Bear with me as I am learning how to combine yoga and scriptures. I promise I'll get better at flowing you guys through and talking. So bear with me, have a little bit of patience with me, and I'll learn as I do this more on how to just combine the two. But I'm so glad you guys are with me. The light in me honors and loves the light within each one of you. Namaste.